What's up, everybody? Today is Monday, November 9th, 2020. We're going to talk a little bit of boxing today. I'm not going to be doing much today, just going over the Devin Haney versus Yurioka's Gamboa fight that was this Saturday night, hosted by DeadZone. Um, there's not much to talk about in this fight. Devin Haney was impressive. It was a dominating win. He pretty much dominated Yurioka Gamboa throughout the entire fight, playing a simple, short, and sweet, skilled, great feet. Didn't really need any defense because Gamboa was keeping his hands in his pockets most of the fight, which I notice is kind of his repertoire now. That guy's just trying to survive through the fight, right? He's just trying to survive through fights. So, great performance by Devin Haney, but nothing special, right? I kind of knew he wasn't going to knock Gamboa out because the one knockout that he does have, that's on all the highlights. You see, he had to wind up. He really had to wind up and land clean, super clean, for him to knock that dude out. Plus, that dude wasn't nobody to talk about. I commend, no disrespect, but I commend all fighters for getting in the ring. But that fighter was not up to Devin Haney's standard, plain and simple, or talent, plain and simple, short and sweet. As far as Gamboa, he's a gatekeeper for these younger guys. What's a gatekeeper, you might ask? It's a fighter who had a name when he was, in his prime or popping, but now he's just a name for someone to get on their resume to say, okay, he fought an ex-world champion or a credible fighter. I like to call it a mini step-up fight, right? Because it's not really a step up in the meaning of that this is a live dog that this particular fighter has in front of him. Again, it's a good name to get on. It's a name to get on your resume so you can move on to the next, hopefully, big thing. As for Devin Haney in his 130 and 135 weight class, I see Devin Haney as a supreme boxer, a really good boxer, right? However, for him to be effective, he will have to develop some type of power. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't have power. I think he has more than enough power to keep a fighter honest. But he does not have enough power to change a fight in one shot, at least on the elite level. So all that stuff that Pop Haney and Mickey Bay's talking about, as far as him stopping fighters like Gary Russell or the other big names in 135, I just don't see that happening. He doesn't have that type of pop. He doesn't have that type of power. Could he get stronger as his man strength set in? I believe so. But we all know, like I said in my last video, power is given. You can't really train it. It's given. Yes, you can teach a fighter how to put more snap on his punches, but a true power puncher is born with that power, blessed from the Most High above, right? That's what I mentioned about Deontay Wilder. Now, I'm going to say some things in reference to my last video. I already know how you fake fans feel, right, about Deontay Wilder. Y'all want to say all that, but just like I said, the argument with Deontay Wilder is not if he lost or won. The argument isn't with how Tyson Fury cheated. It's if he did cheat, right? I asked specifically for the question to be answered in my last video that if you don't believe the gloves were tampered with, post in the comments and we will have a discussion, right? And go look at my comments on that last video. Guess what they're doing? Guess what it sounds like, guys? Crickets. Nobody posted a comment. Nobody said nothing because I meant it when I said if you did post it and if it was stupid and not answering the question, I was going to delete the comment. But Devin Haney, as far as a pure boxer, spectacular. I like the way he moves. He has really good feet. The balance is great. Nice jab. Combinations on crazy. But he's got to be able to have enough pop to keep these elite fighters, the higher echelon fighters, honest. What that means is you could be as good as gravy, but if a fighter can walk you down, there's not much more you can do about it. You got to be able to keep a fighter off of you, right? Plain and simple, short and sweet. What do I see next for Devin Haney? If it was my choosing, I would love to see Devin Haney step up to Teofimo Lopez because Teofimo did duck Haney. did duck Haney when it was his time to fight Haney in their so-called round robin tournament that they had going on at Top Rank for the lightweights. I believe it was a lightweight. I believe it was a lightweight tourney. Um, that um, that Tiafimo dropped out of it when it was his time to roll with Devin Haney. So even though Tiafimo has a good pop, I believe they believe that Devin Haney's too much for Tiafimo. Otherwise, why not put the hot upcoming prospect on your resume as a win, right? That's what I firmly believe in boxing, guys. Easy fights get made, right? Meaning if a fighter believes that no matter who this fighter is, whether his name is ringing bells or not in the boxing circles in the sport, that if that fighter truly believes he can beat him, he's going to try his best to call that fighter out and make that fight happen. Otherwise, they're gonna say, "Oh, this guy doesn't deserve to fight me. Oh, he needs to get a belt, or he's not ready for me yet." Blah blah blah. But I'll go and fight a cab driver or some guy with, you know, 7 or 8 losses on their record that's ranked, top 10 in their division. Why didn't you just fight the young gunner, the young Thundercat that you felt you can beat? That's coming up and name is ringing bells. That would do more for your resume and your legacy than fighting some other no-name fighter that they do on Top Rank, like they do at Top Rank, right? And I'm not saying that a prospect has to get his feet wet, right? You gotta season a prospect. You gotta, put him in there with different fights, with different styles, so he'll know how to deal with certain adversities and certain situations in the ring. But to simply fight no names until you finally get to fight the so-called guy that's in your promotional company that has a name and that's popping, that's in-house matchmaking. I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. That's what was up with Teofimo and Loma. Bob Arum wouldn't give Loma to nobody else but Teofimo because Teofimo is a top-ranked fighter, so they keep that work and money and profits in-house, right? Because otherwise, if you believe that Loma could beat Devin Haney, instead of having Loma petition for franchise and then step away from the main WC belt and have it handed off to Haney, why wouldn't you just fight your mandatory, whip them good, get your belt, and put them on your resume? That's when you know a fighter's on bullcrap. That's when you know, guys. No matter what y'all say about the PBC have round robins. Everybody's gonna get work. Those who win, they'll win. Those that lose, they're not they're not thrown off the cuff. They're not thrown off a cliff like in 300 and saying, okay, you're no good because you got a loss. No, they get another fight. Look at Luis Ortiz. Look at Sean Porter. Look at you guys. Look at what's the boy name? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Landy Lara. Look at Jared Swift Hurd. You get a loss. A loss is not. We know. True boxing fans know a loss is not the end of your career, right? It is not the end of your career, right? But if you're not getting sufficient work, that will ruin your career, right? That will ruin your career. You have to get your your resume counts for something. Competition counts for something. That's why after this last weekend with Tiafimo, I don't think now with how he running his gums and smacking his lips that he fares well against the other major 135ers in the game. I really don't, because you wasn't talking that greasy before you got your belts. You was only talking greasy to Loma, which was in house. And it's a lot of those fights that you talking about, and you talking greasy in the mouth about these fighters who you not gonna fight anyway, because everybody knows you about to move to 140. So you talking greasy for no reason. If you with it, you with it. If you not, you not. That's the one thing I admired about, even though he talking greasy out his mouth now about Errol Spence, is Keith One Time Thurman, is that when he didn't want no smoke with Errol Smith, Errol Spence or EJ, he said, "I don't want no smoke. It's not happening." That's cool. That's cool. That let Errol know to move past you to go get work in other places. That's all it's saying, right? So again, I give Devin Haney and all these guys a chance. His TFO Teofimo. Not because of his last performance against Loma, because I personally feel Loma was overrated. That Loma was overrated. Again, we can argue this in the comments. All you got to do is leave a comment, and I will post and answer your comment or address it. Let me know. I'm happy to help. Please leave your comments at the BOTTOM. I will answer comments. Right? If you have any questions regarding boxing, feel free to email me at rickydotwilliams@gmail.com. That is RICKYDOT Williams, WILLIAMS @gmail.com, spelled out. So ricky.williams spelled out @gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Or I would be happy to do any, I don't do fantasies, but potential fights that come up. I don't do fantasy fights because you can't judge one era versus another because you know you will never see it, right? But the possible fights that you want to see or you want me to break down, email me. I'll put my email in the description this time. But easy fights get made, guys. A fighter that believes he can beat another fighter, even if he's like Canelo or Floyd, if he believes he can step on another fighter, that fight gets made, no problem. It gets made, no problem. The only fights that don't get made where the risk is higher than the reward. Those are the fights that do not get made because that fighter knows he has a chance either fight, either or. And again, I'm going to say the one that's being called out more than likely know that whoever's calling him out could beat him or has smoke for him because anybody can lose on any given night. Anybody can lose on any given night. That's just being real. But if you got a young Thundercat that you know that's hungry, that's ready to eat the bottom of your shoes off, they're going to avoid that dude because if he loses everything. You lose your rep, you lose your belts, you lose your space, you go back to the bottom of the totem pole, right? So, again, Devin Haney versus Yuriorkis Gamboa. I think it was a decent fight. He did not live up to my expectations, but now I know what he is. He's a skilled boxer with great movement, great defense, and just enough pop to keep a guy off of him. But I don't know if he has enough pop at the top of the chain to keep those guys honest. I will have to see that. I think a great example for him would be Gary Russell Jr. I think that would be a great fight to see really where he's at because he's not going to be able to keep Gary off of him with a shot. And Gary's just as good as a boxer. If not, he's a good boxer, and if not, just as good as a boxer as Devin Haney. I think it'll be a great fight, even though Gary's the smaller man. But hey, who the hell am I? Hey, but that's all I got for this video, guys. Please share the video, like or hate the video, and subscribe. Leave your comments at the bottom. Let me know if I did okay. Let me know what you think. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family. Everything else take care of itself. It's Ricky Williams. I'm out.